So, exciting news. You may have seen that it's 30 days until we go to Paris. And so, what does 30 days before Paris mean? What does it look like? Well, it's a great question. So, for some of you, you have been hearing about it for 3 or so years. And so, you're probably like, have you not even been to Paris and back yet? My gosh, what's taking so long? And for others, this might be the first time you've heard that we're making this big move. So it's exciting, so exciting that I'm bringing you to it directly here from our guest bedroom. I have quite the high-end budget for our shooting locations here. But the idea was we went to Europe. Actually, we were supposed to go to Europe in 2020, like a lot of people, when COVID hit. And so obviously that was redone, rescheduled, and we ended up rescheduling it a few times. Finally, in September of 21, we had it planned. We were going to go several places, actually. We were going to go to Berlin, and then Amsterdam, Bruges, and Paris. Eventually, we took out the Berlin concept because Germany was having issues with their borders and COVID, so it became Amsterdam, Bruges, Epernay, which is the Champagne region in France, and then Paris. And about 10, maybe 15 days, it was over Labor Day, before we left, Europe actually closed, not Europe, but I guess it would be the Netherlands. They closed their borders again. So it wasn't for very long. They did open them right back up, but they were closed, and we didn't know for how long at the time, and we did not want to postpone our trip again. So France was really the only country that was non-negotiable. We were fine with kind of giving up some of the other locations at the time, and so we just had to immediately regroup the trip, and we added just French towns. So we flew into Paris, we rented a car, we drove to the west side of France, where on the water, where Saint-Malo, close to Saint-Malo, we visited Dinan, beautiful little city. Then we stayed in Dinard, fabulous hotel there called the Castlebrec. I'm sure I will do a video on that because I can't imagine not going back and staying there for a few nights again. But we stayed in Dinard. It was right outside of Saint-Malo. We enjoyed Saint-Malo. Recently, there was an HBO film that was there from World War II. It was very interesting, and it was fun to see the walled city there again. We took the car from there then up to Mont Saint-Michel, on our way to Bayeux to stay so we could do the whole Normandy tour. And we really, I hate to say we enjoyed it. We did enjoy it, but obviously it was very solemn, and it was a very a real opportunity to feel very proud of the men that gave their lives to our country for us today to have the freedoms that we have today. So that was a really great experience, I should say. And if you are ever in France and have the opportunity to do that, it's definitely worth putting on your list. But from Bayeux, we then drove to back to Paris, dropped our car off at a train station. There's a whole story in that. But we dropped that off, and then we jumped on a train and went to Colmar. Colmar is in the Alsace region on the east side. Lovely people there, very Germanesque. I'm sure they would not think that. I'm sure they would say they're very French, and they are very French, but they have a very meshed culture with the history of Germany and Prussia and occupations, and yes, they are very French now, but there is still a lot of sauerkraut, a lot of sausages, saucissons, and a lot of German flavors and languages that are used in that area. Beautiful, very much like what is that? Beauty and the Beast from Disney, very, very much like that. In fact, they say at Kaiserberg, a small town outside of Colmar in that same region, is rumored, there's a lot of rumors about this though, that the well from Beauty and the Beast was developed after the well that's in that city center. So it was beautiful. We enjoyed the people, we enjoyed the culture there. And then we drove to Epernay. Epernay was an entirely different experience. We stayed right on the Champagne Miracle Mile, Millionaire Mile. I can't remember exactly what that's called. I'll have to do some research on that. But stayed right there in a champagne house, actually, and had a lovely tour the next day. We went to the Forest de Verzy and drank champagne tastings in a tree house in the forest that was really quite spectacular. We had an incredible driver who kind of showed us around and told us about the different areas, Dom Perignon's church, his gravesite. We spent some time in Reims. You might know it as Reims, but it is pronounced closer to Reims. I'm close to that. excuse me, which is actually where my tutor's from, my French language tutor. But that's a beautiful city as well in the Champagne region. Probably it's more known, if not bigger, definitely bigger than Epernay is. But it's the area that the Notre Dame Cathedral is in, the one that all the King Louis were coronated in, and it's quite spectacular and worth the trip for that. So it's a neat city within itself. I would stay there on the next trip back since I've already done Epernay, so I'm sure you'll see us spending a couple of days there too, just so we can kind of finish off that Champagne region for ourselves, because we didn't get the whole shebang there in 3 days. And then we went back to Paris, and we spent 7 nights in Paris, and we stayed at a hotel called the Hotel de Montagne, and it was in the 8th, and it had a beautiful view of the Seine and the Eiffel Tower. Probably not the area that I would ever live in. It's very corporate there. Louis Vuitton headquarters is right around the corner. Lots of those types of places. So as far as like the cafes and sorts, they're not as prominent in that area. There's not as much like French lifestyle in that area. Very beautiful. Decently located. You can walk to the Eiffel Tower. You can walk down to the first, but you are about a 25-30 minute walk, I think, from like all the good stuff. And you're still about 15, maybe only like 12 minutes to the actual metro. We didn't get really that involved in the metro back then. But anyway, we fell in love with France, as you can see. And so, we did all the things, the bike ride at Versailles, the works. We came home, and that should have been it. And we should have been like, okay, so, maybe we'll take another trip in a couple years. But I just felt like we had spent so much time raising kids, making money, creating a life for ourselves, being, responsible adults, that we hadn't traveled and we hadn't seen all the things that there were to see. And not that you'll ever see them all, but there is just this really strong desire to be able to like get out there and see more people and learn more about their culture and more about why people do things differently, and to get different perspectives. And, it enhances our lives to know how others look at things and have different perspectives, right? And I really, really enjoyed that. And Christopher knew that as well. And he agreed that we should do more of it. And when I said, I really would love to live in France, he said, okay, we can do it for 1 year. So I've got him up to like 14 months right now. That's probably about the most we'll actually accomplish, because we do have 5 children. They will be getting married at some point in their lives. They will be having children. We're going to want to be active grandparents. We're also very active in our church, so we're going to want to be back to do all the things with our Church Radiant that we wanted to do over the years, and then some. I'm sure God's gonna expose and show some things to us that we want to accomplish for Him and for the kingdom on this trip. And that's really what this is. It's a sabbatical. It's an opportunity for us to kind of connect to the world, connect to God, and connect to each other, and just look what the second half of our lives is going to be about, and just really kind of get a tight vision of that, and be open and rested and exposed to everything that there could be. And we're just really excited about that opportunity. We're going to be there. Who knows? We may be there 1 month. We may be there, 14 months. But 14 months is our final line. We will not be there past November sometime next year. So no longer than the end of November 2026. We don't really know what our intention is. It's to go kind of month by month and, see what God shows us and tells us that we should do. We'll be listening, and what our next step is. But we're excited. So we're headed off. Excuse me, we're headed off there the 28th of October, so exactly 30 days, and we will fly into Paris. We'll get there on the 29th, and we have an apartment hotel which we'll be checking into, and then it's actually just on the outskirts of the Marais in the Bastille district. And then we will have that for up to 90 days. We could always extend it if we needed to, but we also could have it for less if we find an apartment. So we'll be doing all those things. We'll be doing the flights. Actually, there's lots of packing going on. There's lots of things that have led up to this trip that I can chit chat about too. If anyone's ever considered doing this, there are some real pros and cons to doing 90 days with no visa, no taxes, no any responsibilities. Or if you want to do more than that, once you get past that 6-month mark, you then, you get visas for up to 6 months, to get visas for up to a year. But once you get past the 6-month mark, there's all kinds of other things and legalities that come into play too. And then once you get past the year mark, there's pieces to that also. So, excuse me, it's my asthma acting up. So, lots and lots of things involved in a move that could potentially be this long. And we'll go through some of those details over the next months together on what it took to actually make this all happen. And then the packing that leads up to this. If you know me, you know that I love clothes, I love stuff, I love fashion, I love having the right purse and the right shoes for every outfit and every event. So this is going to be a new experience for me. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm not taking, and it's going to be good for me. And then I want to leave some room also open for purchasing new things in France. So I can't really take absolutely everything because we got to get it all back, and French living is smaller, so there's not room for everything that we have. So I will give you kind of updates on what this all looks like as we move through the process, but we're super excited, and we hope that if you have any interest in following the journey, that we will see you on our TikTok, Sam I Am Hatton, on our Instagram, Sam I Am Hatton. Is it Sam I Am Hatton 34? I don't know. I need to look at that. I'll put it on the YouTube thing, but I'll make sure all that stuff's there, because you can follow us there, and on Facebook we'll make sure we're doing reels, stories, and then the YouTube channels where you're going to want to come for the actual down and dirty behind the scenes, what's going on, kind of stuff like this. So anyway, hope that you enjoyed hearing kind of our story and what we're doing, and we'll see you next time. So you were excited.